Hey friends, welcome to the Swing My Heart podcast. Come join me, your host Nicole, for some hope-filled conversations about heartfelt entertainment that makes your heart swing. Hey Hearties, welcome to the Swing My Heart podcast. I'm your host Nicole, and Theresa and I are back today to chat about When Calls the Heart, Season 10, Episode 10, All Dressed Up. It was written by Paul Redford and directed by Siobhan Devine. The town prepares for the governor's black tie ball. While still reeling from the true intentions of Union City Holdings, Lucas decides to try and sway the governor to their side. This was a great episode and one of my favorite of the season.
For sure.
What about you?
I love this episode. And it wasn't even because of like one particular moment or one particular scene. It was just that everyone pretty much had a good storyline and everyone got to shine, and I loved that.
Yeah. Agreed. Everyone did an amazing job in this episode.
Yeah. I loved it. It was great.
Yes. Including Mark Brandon, even though we do not like his character and we will find out why. Just a little bit.
Yes. Although I think we all kind of knew that was going to happen, but yeah, you know.
I figured from what he said on Heartie's hotline, shout out to Cammie and Sarah if you're listening, that he was not going to turn out to be a good character. He would be the villain, but still happy to have him on the show.
For sure. Yes. I knew that from the Heartie's hotline as well, so
yeah,
it wasn't surprising to me, but still we love having Mark Brandon on the show. So.
Yes. So why don't we just talk about this whole storyline with the governor and Montague, Madeline, Jamie, and the water diversion.
Yeah, I was really worried that this storyline was going to go down the path of the oil storyline, where it would make less and less sense. But I could actually follow this storyline, and it made sense. So kudos for that. It was great. I could follow. So that was definitely a plus.
Yeah. Lucas, Elizabeth, Lee, Rosemary, and Goldie, and Nathan at the mill/Valley Voice. That was a great scene.
It was, yeah. There were a few things that stood out to me in that scene. You know, like you have all of them working together, and you know, like Lee and Rosemary, they're in the office. Elizabeth's there, Lucas is there. They're all discussing the plan, and then also we have this dynamic between Lucas and Nathan, which was shocking to me because they were like. There was no awkwardness, no like rivalry, none of that. They're just like actually like, you know, being nice to each other. And I was like, wow, this is refreshing. This is nice.
Yes. Yeah. I love how he says, you deserve it, my friend. You're a hero. Nathan, you're the one saving the town.
Yes. I mean, they're both, you know, doing their part for the greater good. And yeah, it was just nice to see them both acknowledging that. I think it's a good thing that both of them are on good terms.
Yeah, I think so too. And of course we know in this scene that they are going to try and appeal to the governor. Nathan comes in and we find out that he's been given the medal, which we already knew.
But apparently Elizabeth did not know. She was surprised by it. She was like, oh.
Yeah. I love when Rosemary suggests to Lucas he should give Balfour a tour of Hope Valley and the hot springs to show him what's happening to the town and the water levels. And when Nathan comes in and he's talking about his medal, she says, "We need to surround him with trusted and messengers of truth."
Yes, that was pretty funny. And then you have Lee repeating her and saying messengers of truth. That's just so them. That was so them.
It's very true, and I think in a way he is, and we can talk about that later.
I think so too.
I think you know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, no, I know what you're talking about. And it's funny because there's always like a role in whatever TV show or fictional thing. If it's a community or a group, there's always the truth teller. And I feel like there are two truth tellers this season. It's Nathan and Henry, the two truth tellers. And here Rosemary specifically says, "Oh yeah, Nathan, be messenger of truth." It kind of highlights that a little bit in a way. So did think that was interesting choice of words by Rosemary.
Yes. Yep, I agree. Somebody apparently is not telling the truth at the land office.
Mm-hmm.
Phil comes into the library where Elizabeth is, and he talks to her about how he had a phone call with them in Union City, and they have no record of his land being sold to Madeline St. John.
Wow. Interesting.
Why wouldn't she have it recorded? Interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely interesting. I think we'll find out later more why. But definitely tips Bill off enough to want to
go to Buxton.
Yeah.
Which is where they are.
Mm-hmm. And we find that out from Elizabeth's the book that Jamie sent her.
The return address.
With the return address. It's funny because when she got that that specific book from Jamie and it was mailed to her, immediately I was like, "Oh, look at the return address." I was a little surprised I didn't think of that sooner.
I know, yeah,
but,
me too.
But I'm glad that they did, because then Bill was able to find out where she was without involving Montague. So
this scene kind of made me sad a little bit, but then laugh at the same time when Elizabeth and Rosemary are walking in town, and Rosemary says, "How are we supposed to put on a black tie gala pretending that the town isn't facing ruin?" Elizabeth, "If only we had an actress who could chair the gala committee."
Yeah. I mean, that Rosemary, you know, she does exaggerate sometimes, but at this point, she's not exaggerating. The town is going to turn into a desert at this point if they don't do something about it. And it's interesting because most of the people at the ball don't actually know that yet.
No.
And it's for the best that they don't know, because then their reaction to other events and parts of the plan are genuine. But at the same time, it must be very hard for the 6 leads to, you know,
keep it
do secret. This thing and keep it together without telling anybody or tipping anybody off.
Yeah, agreed. Governor Balfour outside the saloon, and he tells Lucas that the tour is a good idea and he wants to hear about his concerns, quandaries, and what he can do to help. Sure.
Sure. What I'm curious about is, I thought Bill was the mayor. Wouldn't Bill be the one?
So.
Yeah, wouldn't Bill be the one talking to the governor?
He should be. Currently, I think he is the acting mayor.
Yeah. I mean, maybe he just went to Buxton and said, you know, I'm not mayor for the day, but
maybe,
it seems like when the governor comes, the mayor should be there. So I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll just say Lucas is kind of unofficially acting mayor at this point. So
Yes.
yeah.
He wants a photo with Nathan and Scout, and then they go to leave, and Montague wants to join the tour. Now, it was said much later, but when Montague wanted to join the tour, I just kind of got this feeling like, there's something going on.
Oh yeah.
between
As soon
them.
as he joined, I was like, yeah, no, this is not good. I immediately knew. I was like, this is not going to end well.
No,
So.
nope,
Yeah.
not at all. The scene with Elizabeth and Rosemary offering some of their dresses, I thought that was a nice moment.
It was a nice moment. It definitely brought me back to my pre-dance college days. That's
Aww.
what college girls do, is that
Aww.
if somebody doesn't have a dress, everyone will offer whatever extra dress they have.
That's
And
awesome.
yeah, that's kind of the way it went at the school that I went.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, it was very familiar feeling there. I
Yeah.
mean, it felt it was funny to me how everyone just kind of like volunteered to take a dress, and Rosemary and Elizabeth didn't seem phased by it at all.
Yeah.
Or how everyone seemed to fit in the same sizes. But
Yeah.
really sweet moments still.
Yeah.
So.
Sisterhood of the traveling dresses.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Hashtag.
Exactly.
Make
Yes.
that a hashtag.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Nathan, Lucas, and Lee at the hot springs with Balfour and Montague. The water levels are back. Interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think we all know who did that.
Montague.
Yep. And even if Montague hadn't come with them up to the springs, they still would have gotten there and the springs would have been full. So I think it would have been more difficult for them to still argue their case.
Yeah.
But yeah, we know something's afoot. We know something's not right. So
yep. Lucas definitely does. He has a talk with Montague and makes his case for Hope Valley to try and convince him to change his mind. But, of course, he will not reconsider. And then, this is the moment when there's that pause and Montague walks off and he sees everyone else is left. And he's like, aren't you clever? Thank you kindly. I was like, go,
yes.
Lucas.
Yes. He's like, oh, you got me.
Oh.
Yeah. I love how Lee and Nathan were kind of forced to improvise in that moment. Like,
yeah.
Lee's like, oh, what are we supposed to do? Like, I don't know. And then they're just like, let's go. Yeah.
And we'll talk about that scene in a second. But before that, we need to chat about Bill and Madeline and Jamie.
Yes.
This scene.
Okay. First of all, I want to point this out. We're not in Hope Valley anymore. We haven't done that in a long time.
No.
But also, we kind of are in Hope Valley, because if you look at the room, it's actually the schoolhouse.
Wow, I didn't notice that.
Yeah, if you look very closely, you can see it's actually the schoolhouse. And
I'll
they've
have
just
to
added.
look out for it.
Yeah. I saw it. I was like, that's the schoolhouse. And my mom is like, wait, what? I'm like, nope, it definitely is.
Yeah, I do know that they do that. Even for out of town scenes, they'll change buildings that are already there to make it look like.
Right. Yeah. So if you look for the double doors and the paneling on the wall.
Yeah.
That's a dead giveaway.
I'll look out for it next time. I do know in season 7, was it, when Lucas and Elizabeth went out of town to see Virginia Woolf? I think the hotel that they were supposedly staying at. I think that is the judge's office, if I'm correct. Is that
that would make sense? Yeah,
maybe? I think that's what I heard.
that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
There have been other things they've done where I'm like, that's the saloon. I know it.
Yeah.
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 But this one, immediately I was like, it's the schoolhouse.
Yeah. But anyway, Jamie sees Bill and he says he misses Hope Valley and wants to go back.
Oh.
We miss Jamie.
Yeah, I miss Jamie.
Yeah. He's a great character.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
And Madeline comes clean to Bill. Montague was her husband Sebastian's business partner, nothing more. And I quote from Madeline, and a despicable one at that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was interesting because I see a lot of parallels between Madeline's story and Cat Montgomery from
I was about to say that.
Yep. You've got the gambling problem, the money sharks, the
Yep, because in season 1, of course, Kat's husband owed a lot to Spurlock, and he didn't pay the debt, and then Spurlock said to Kat that he would expose her husband's gambling if she didn't accept his proposal.
Yeah.
Sound familiar?
Oh yeah, definitely familiar. And I like that we're getting this call back.
Yeah.
I like it. It's not exactly the same, but it is similar.
No, yeah, it is very similar.
Yeah. It definitely reminded me of that. I'm like, aha, Madeline is like Cat Montgomery. So yeah.
Yeah, when I saw that scene, I immediately thought of Kat.
Yeah.
I think Kat and Madeline would be good friends if Kat were still in Hope Valley.
I agree. Still miss her. I wish she would make an appearance or something. That'd be super fun.
Yeah. Going back to this scene, she says that all that is left is a small trust, and Montague is the sole executor. And he's holding hostage unless she agrees to go to Hope Valley and buy some land with a creek. She thought it was harmless, but she was wrong. Nothing with Montague ever is harmless.
Yeah, I mean, I would have, if I were her, I would have been a little bit suspicious. Yeah. But at the same time, she didn't know what his company was. She didn't know any of that. She just wanted the money because that's her and Jamie's only livelihoods. So, obviously she's not going to pay too much attention to the particulars.
Yes. But we were right. We called this too. Madeline is not a bad person. She just got caught up in a bad situation.
Yep. And not only that, but it's debt from her husband that she's trying to pay off. So, yes, we definitely called that.
Yay, that's call number 2.
Yeah.
Maybe more than that. I don't know. I haven't been really counting.
Yeah, I think I've been right about some things, but also wrong about some things. Like very wrong. So but in a good way. In a good way.
Yeah, that's true. Yes.
Yeah. There were years where I was very wrong in a bad way, but this year it's a good way. So
yes. Before we go on to the next scene, this exchange between Madeline and Bill kind of made me sad a little bit. She says, "Without that deed, Jamie and I have nothing." And Bill says, "I think you have more than you know." I kind of feel like he was referring to him. Like, they have him.
Of course, yeah. I mean, Bill is, I've affectionately dubbed him as the hero of widows and orphans.
Yeah.
And it's because he's helped so many orphans and widows out of their troubles. You have Abigail helping her after the mine disaster.
Yep, Dottie.
You have Dottie Ramsey. You have I forget the character's name, but she was the daughter of one of Bill's close friends.
Oh, Lucy Benson.
Yes, Lucy Benson, whose father got killed by a bank robber.
Yep.
And she was an
Garrison.
The Garrison gang. Yes, killed by the Garrison gang.
Yeah.
And then there were others too. I mean, Florence, he helped her when when she gave away her coat, and then it had that letter from her husband.
Oh, yeah, that was in season 5.
I mean, technically, Bill also helped literally every single widow in Hope Valley win their case against Mr. Gowan. So, you know.
Yes.
It makes sense. So this storyline was very fitting for Bill.
Yeah.
I don't think it's quite over yet, but I don't think that he and Madeline are going to be together in season 11. I dare to say,
so.
But yeah. But this was nice. I like this storyline for him. It's very very in line with the character, and I think it was a good thing for
I agree.
Both of them.
Moving on to Nathan and Lee talking to the governor. They inform him of the plot to steal the water from Hope Valley, of course, because of Montague, and he says, "That sounds positively criminal. Such an outrage will not stand, not so long as I'm governor of this territory." And I was thinking, sure.
Yeah. As he's saying it, I'm like, I know you're lying, dude. I know you're lying. Yeah. I mean, it would be too easy if it was it would be too easy if it just ended there, of course.
Yeah. So. Yeah, that sounds like something a politician would say. That is lying through the skin of his teeth.
Of course. Yeah. See, he didn't even try to like dance around it. Yeah. Flat out lies. But,
and continuing on with Nathan and Lee, they are at the Queen of Hearts with Lucas. Can we just talk about the fact that Lee took the shot from Nathan because he was still on duty?
Yes. Yeah. It brought me back to that one scene in season 2. I don't know why. It brought me back to that one scene where Elizabeth is at the dinner table with her family and Jack, and she's like, "Oh, he certainly doesn't drink on the job."
Oh, yeah.
I was like, yep, well, Nathan apparently doesn't either.
I was like, good call, Lee. Good call.
Yeah. You see Nathan like stop midair and he like thinks about it, and then Lee's like, "Oh no, yeah, you can't have that."
Yep, you're still on duty.
Yeah.
I love that they are putting Nathan and Lee in scenes together, or more scenes together.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I love the trio of Nathan, Lee, and Lucas, but I really love the duo of Lee and Nathan because they're both very like, I mean, in the past, I wouldn't say Nathan's like lighthearted exactly, but he is much more this year. So to see them kind of play off of each other, it's just it's so fun. Like they're so like funny together, and I love it.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
I agree. This scene with Lee and Rosemary and Goldie at home.
That was really sweet.
Lee is upset with himself that he took money from Montague for months when he was plotting to steal the water all along. Rosemary, of course, is unwavering in her support, which I love. And Lee wants to protect the town and his daughter from men like Bernhardt Montague. Oh, my heart.
I mean, we all knew Lee would probably feel pretty bad about funding this thing.
Yeah.
But you see at the root of it, it's because he's raising Goldie in this, his daughter in this town. And he wants it to be as safe as possible. And he worries that it was because of the profit and that kind of blinded him, which I don't think it did. Lee has never been someone who's been all about profit.
No, he was doing it for his men.
Yes, he was doing it for his men, but also just kind of like, it's one of those things where you don't really think until afterwards, or it's like, oh yeah, I probably should have thought about that a little more. But you can't see these things coming like a mile away. So yeah, I just liked how it was all brought back to Goldie and how, like she's everything to him. So obviously he just wants everything to be good for her.
Yeah. And I loved the compliments about their looks for the ball.
Yes, for sure. And she looked, Rosemary looked amazing. So,
yes, she did. Yeah. And
those,
Lee and that tux.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Lee, he's just, I mean, Lee, I can always picture like wearing a tux and it just looks great. The two of them are just such a classic couple. So.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
I loved when everyone arrived for the ball, especially the ladies in their dresses from Elizabeth and Rosemary. That was very nice. And then we hear from Rosemary that the governor will be heard from anywhere that there is a radio, and that includes Jameson, Union City, and Buxton.
I think, oh, yeah.
The ball is quickly about to drop.
Yes, definitely is. And this has been building up kind of all season.
Yeah.
Like, you can kind of see little hints here and there. I do think the governor storyline should have been spread out over a few more episodes.
Yeah.
That's my complaint with it, but I like the build up that they did give to this. It's not like it just came out of the blue. It definitely has built up. And I like that. Yeah.
Madeline returns and gives the land deed back to Bill, which I loved. Thank you, Madeline.
Yes. Thank you, Madeline.
She did a good thing.
She did. Yes. And also, she gave him a kiss on the cheek.
Yes, that was sweet.
Feeling the sparks there.
Yeah, that was sweet.
Yeah.
Bill wants her and Jamie to stay, but she says that she's overstayed her welcome.
Yeah.
Which I understand.
Yeah. I don't think that this is the last we've seen of Madeline, but I also don't think that they're going to stick around. Yeah. I think they're going to find a new life somewhere else.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it would be a big adjustment for her, I feel like, to go from being someone that possibly invited all of this trouble into town. Settling down there would be very tough for her.
Yeah.
Almost as tough as Henry Gowan, I would say. Yes. It took him years to finally find his place. So I think it would be difficult for her too.
Yeah. And this is when we hear that the governor and Montague are in cahoots.
Yep. Should have seen that coming.
I kind of did before it was even said.
I think everyone was kind of expecting that. I was surprised that they were already in cahoots. That was what surprised me. I had no doubt in my mind that Montague would be the guy that the governor would eventually, start to listen to. I didn't picture them already being in cahoots. So that to me was a surprise, but at the same time, not really, because, we knew the governor was sketchy.
Yeah. And Elizabeth finds out from Bill. Lucas finds out from Elizabeth. Then Bill talks to Montague, or Monty, as he tells Elizabeth. And he says, by law, you and your men are now trespassing on my property.
Yeah.
And Montague's like, well played.
It was. I don't think it'll fix the problem,
No.
but at least it shows that Bill has some kind
Yeah.
of, you
Yeah.
know, power, not only jurisdiction over the land, but also he knows that Madeline is not his fiance. It kind of, you know,
Yeah.
basically it gets right at the core of what Montague was
Mm-hmm.
trying to cover up.
Yeah. And the short scene with Lucas and Elizabeth when she tells Lucas, she's like, just keep smiling. I don't think we can trust the governor.
Yeah.
She did a
Yes.
great job with that.
She did, yes. Especially for someone who struggled a little bit with acting last season when she had to pretend to be surprised for her surprise party. Yeah. It was, yeah, she did a good job. It was very much like a When Calls the Heart doesn't do heist very often,
No.
but this was definitely giving me the heist feels of like, oh, we're dancing, but we're also like plotting something and I'm
Yeah.
filling you in. And it was very much like a heist moment. And I loved that.
Yeah. Bill, Elizabeth, and Lucas meet with Balfour and Montague. Bill shows the land deed, and Montague and the governor are still pushing for the water diversion and claims the water levels won't be tremendously affected. Right.
Sure.
That is a
We saw
lie.
how that affected all the other towns.
Yep, that is a lie, and it will run Hope Valley dry. Hey, that rhymed. And Balfour mentions they need to consider the greater good for the hundreds and thousands coming to Union City looking for opportunity and to create a brighter future. He brings up invoking the principle of eminent domain.
Mm-mm. Isn't that the same? Isn't that the same law that Elizabeth was trying to invoke in season 1 with
I
the row
think
houses?
so. I think
Yeah,
so. If I'm
I
right,
heard it.
yeah.
I heard it. I was like, aha! I know eminent domain. That's when Elizabeth wanted to paint all the row houses.
That was brilliant.
Yes, yes.
Even Henry Gowan thought it was clever.
He was like, well played, Elizabeth.
Yep. Balfour says, I'm on the side of whatever does the most good for all the citizens. Montague, these valleys are the past. Union City is the future.
Ha! Always the big city. Always the big city. So dumb.
I was like, oh no, you don't.
Yeah. I'm just like, we've done this before and we all know that the big city is not the answer, sir.
I know, yeah. Not gonna happen. Not gonna happen.
So yeah, of course everyone in Hope Valley won't let this happen. Leave it to Hope Valley to be the ones to actually figure out what's happening before it happens. Like that's just Hope Valley for you. Of course they're gonna figure out what's going on. So
yes, we will talk about the big moment in just a minute, but before that, can I just say that scene with Lucas, Balfour, and Montague in the office, that was, I would not be able to keep a straight face. The way he bluffed.
No. Oh yeah. Lucas has been doing the bluffing for years now, but oh my gosh, like this bluff was like top tier bluff. It's right up there with when Rosemary and Lee bluffed Henry to give them the land to let the railroad through.
Oh,
the poker game. Yeah, it's right up there with that bluff. Yeah.
Yep. Lucas is proposing they divert half the water, at least until after the election, which will give him time to show that there is a functional compromise and keep the votes in the governor's favor. Lucas wants to be partner and a friend. He wants a new place to settle, just in case 50% of the water becomes a little more. Ideally, a place that the water will not be redirected. Balfour says that can be arranged in exchange for your continued support, and Lucas basically just tells him that he has it completely.
Yes.
That face, that straight face that he made, I was like, wow, Lucas.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't think for a minute that he was actually turning to the dark side of I know there are some people, of course, out there who are like, oh, is Lucas really bad? I never thought that. I was just like, this is a good bluff. Yeah.
No, even my mom asked, are they going to turn him into a villain? I was like, no, Mom, they're not going to do that.
I mean, I'm not going to lie. Chris McNally is really good at playing mystery and playing, that kind of like, will he, won't he, slightly villain. He's very good at that. But we all knew Lucas wasn't going to be a villain. So,
no.
Yeah.
No. After the meeting with the governor and Montague, he has a brief talk with Elizabeth, and he says, you were great in there. Rosemary has taught you very well, a budding actress. Are you sure you want to do this? It's the only way. And if the governor sues me for libel or throws me in jail, I have to try and save Hope Valley. Are you sure you want me to go through with this? You're a very brave man, Lucas.
Yeah.
That was a good scene.
It was a good scene. And I love how she admires him. She acknowledges that this is a brave thing that he's doing, and it's a very risky thing. It's not life or death per se, but it's still, it could ruin him potentially. And it's a big risk that he's taking. And I love that she acknowledges that, because I do feel like she hasn't fully appreciated Lucas this season very much, but this is a moment where yes, she does.
Yes.
And I was grateful for that, because like I said, she hasn't fully appreciated him this season, but I think this was a good moment for them because she is shown to be doing that.
Yes. Yep. The big moment. Why don't we just talk about that speech? And I have it written down.
Oh yeah. This thing
right here.
Yeah. I'm sitting there watching the speech. I knew this was going to be a big moment. But as I'm watching the speech, I'm just like, of course, this is what Lucas has been meant to do all this time. Because he's talked about finding his purpose. He's talked about leaving a legacy.
Yeah.
We know he's a very charismatic, person, has a lot of potential to be a leader. This was the moment. This was everything that he has ever been working towards. This was the moment.
Yes.
And I was just like blown away by that speech.
Yeah.
It was inspiring. It was invigorating. Everyone in the room was just like in awe, and like he was working the crowd.
Yeah.
And it was just like, it was great. I thought it was great.
Yes. We're here to support our governor, Governor Bixby Balfour, as he seeks re-election. Governor Balfour is a man of the people, a man of business, a man of the greater good. But what exactly does that mean, the greater good? According to Governor Balfour, the greater good does not include places like Rock Creek, Eagle Creek. It doesn't even include Hope Valley, because he's happy and willing to steal their water and leave them high and dry. It's happening here in Hope Valley as we speak. And according to Old Bix here, the greater good does also not include Buxton or Jameson, the next two towns on his list to be drained. How do I know this? I know this because he just told me. He told me when he offered me a cut to join in. Now, unlike Governor Balfour, I don't believe the greater good means leaving people out. I don't believe the greater good means decimating towns, valleys, lives, communities that we have worked hard to build here. Now, we have an election coming up, and if you agree with what I've said, go out and make your voices heard. I was like...
I was just like, wow, I feel like I should clap too. It's a great scene.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it's opening up a lot of opportunities for Lucas that were not there before.
Yeah.
And great scene.
Yeah.
And it's not even the speech that's going on. It's everything that's happening around the speech too. That's awesome. Like Lucas is, giving a great speech, and then you have, Montague and the governor just like ready to go pounce on Fiona, and then you have Bill and Nathan just like it like absolutely not. And then you have all the people who don't know that this has been going on all this time. They're all reacting to it for the first time because they had no idea. And then Lee and Rosemary in the front row, they're like, yes, because they know the whole time that this has been going on. So they're just right there cheering Lucas on and, watching the whole plan unfold.
Yeah. Fiona's face when they were like about to pounce, she was like, okay.
Yeah. She's like, whoa, I did not expect this today. Yeah. But
that was a good scene. Yeah.
It was a good scene. And I love how this whole scenario, Lucas playing the bluff, and I feel like in past seasons he's done a lot of sting operations and bluffs and tried to handle a lot of situations, but the reason why this one was so successful is because he involved other people and he actually delegated a little bit. Instead of just trying to do it on his own, he involved the right people, but was still in charge, but involved the right people. And that's why this was so successful, because you had Elizabeth in on it, you had Bill in on it, you had Nathan and Lee and Rosemary in on it, and they all played major parts in bringing this about, with Lucas still being in charge of the whole thing. So it showed a lot of growth on Lucas's part to, instead of trying to, go and do all of this on his own, like he did with Wyman Walden or with Amos Dixon in season 6. He actually is doing he's actually doing this with help while still being in charge. And I loved that. I love seeing that growth for him.
Yeah, me too. And the moment after the speech, when Lucas and Bill kind of have a little brief confrontation with Montague, he says, "You have no idea who you've crossed." And Bill says, "No, I think we do."
Good old Bill being snarky. Bill's like, no, we know exactly who you are.
Yes. And I'm glad that Mr. Mitchell is not on the governor's side. Thank you.
Yes. I mean, I think he should actually pick a side, but I think ultimately for him the priority is the hot springs being readily available. So he's gonna pick whichever side is gonna make the hot springs readily available.
Yeah,
so
I agree, but I think he seems like a good guy that wants to try and do the right thing. So,
and also wants to go back in the hot springs again.
Yep.
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell says it's about time someone stood up to him. The governor has some powerful opponents. And this is to Lucas. And he says that he wants to talk to him soon, which will be in the next episode.
We know that will happen. So
yeah. Do we want to move on from this whole storyline into Mike, May, Fiona, Faith, and Harry?
Sure. Yes, absolutely.
The makeovers in the salon. That
was fun. Yeah. I like when Fiona's doing either, like the smaller things like hair, or when she was the telephone operator doing things like that. So I liked that they kind of went back to the salon and we're planning some stuff. I was a little bit surprised that Faith wasn't really, disappointed that she wasn't going with a date. I was a little bit like, girl, maybe you should be feeling a little bit something.
Yeah.
Because you're not going with Nathan, but I don't know. Maybe she didn't actually feel as much for
Maybe.
him as we
Yeah.
thought she did. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Lucas and Mike at the Queen of Hearts.
Oh my gosh.
Talking about May. Lucas wants to know if he has talked to her. And Mike says, usually when I'm sweet on someone, she'd rather be friends. Lucas, I think that just means you haven't found the right person yet. You still have 2 hours left. Plenty of time. Anything can happen. Okay, now with this, I don't know if we have talked about this in our chat privately, but I feel like this subtly was not just referring to Mike.
Yeah. I mean,
I think you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. I think it's interesting that this was brought up and that Lucas was the one to bring it up. So I don't know. Yeah.
I think that just means you haven't found the right person yet. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Also,
Oh, yeah?
also the comment, you still have 2 hours left, plenty of time, anything can happen. When that was said, I don't know if we've talked about this. There are 2 episodes left.
2 hours, technically.
2 hours left in the season.
Anything could happen. Yeah. I mean, maybe we're reading into this too much, but I don't know. I will tell you that it could have been anything other than 2 hours because it looked way earlier. It looked way earlier than 2 hours.
Exactly my point.
Yeah.
That cannot be coincidence.
Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah. 2 hours, anything can happen.
Yes. Mike hiding with the flowers. That was kind of feel bad for him, but at the same time, it was really funny.
Yeah, it was funny. I felt bad for him. I was slightly annoyed because I'm like, come on, Mike.
Yeah.
I mean, when he said, oh, yeah, like he talked about having a hard time being with somebody, like trying to get a girl to go out with him. And that moment, I'm like, Mike, I think you might be the problem. But hopefully, this thing with May will help him to kind of overcome that a little bit. Yeah.
And he misses his chance to ask May to the ball when Harry approaches her first. He compliments her and invites her to go as his date.
I have questions because I thought Harry was a kid. I was under the impression that he was a kid. I mean, you literally have Faith calling him a kid when he's abandoned. She's like, oh, it's just a kid, Nathan. It's like, okay. Okay. I mean, I thought May and Faith were the same age. But I don't know.
It's interesting.
It was an interesting choice for sure. So
yeah. I mean, I don't not like Harry. I just wish
I love Harry. Yeah, I love Harry. I'm just confused.
I just wish we knew his age.
Yeah.
Or age range.
Right, yeah. Because everyone was like, oh, put him with Rosaline, put him with Allie. And then now it's suddenly like, oh, he's asking May to the dance.
Rosaline?
Yeah, oh, no. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, no, I don't think Rosaline needs a bandit in her life right now.
No. Yeah. Fiona encouraging Faith to dance with Harry while trying to get Mike and May together. That was
very funny. Fiona, yeah.
You look really beautiful
Oh, poor Mike. Literally, he just looks so like stressed out. He's like, you look really beautiful tonight.
She's like, pardon me?
Oh dear, poor Mike. And we thought it was bad when Nathan had a hard time asking Elizabeth on a date.
Poor Mike.
Oh my gosh, poor Mike. Oh well.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Mm.
But he overcomes and they dance, which is great. I do think they'll get closer as the season goes on, and I do think we're going to see another dance with them.
I think so too.
Yeah. Dancing this season seems to be significant.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a lot of dances happening this season.
Yeah.
So
agreed. And why don't we just talk about the wedding planning, which is still not really going well.
Yeah. I mean, a lot has been, it doesn't feel right. A lot of the wedding stuff. Like it's just not going the way it should. And part of that is because there's a lot going on in town. Part of it just feels like the only one who really is looking forward to it is Rosemary. I don't really, I mean, Lucas obviously is looking forward to it, but they seem to be the only two characters that are making a point to actually plan for it and think about it. So yeah, I don't know. I'm getting a weird vibe with the wedding. Something feels off for sure.
Yeah. The journal entry at the beginning of the episode, she says, losing Jack was the hardest thing I ever went through. And the thought of losing someone else in the line of duty, one who means so much to me, has rekindled old fears I'd put away. It feels like we have a shadow over us for so many reasons. Things that seemed important yesterday pale in comparison to what is now at stake.
I will say Elizabeth's journal entries have been cryptic this year, but at the same time
enlightening.
Very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
I think it's obviously anything she felt about the hostage situation, everything like that. Of course that's going to be related to Jack. That's a trauma response. But the fact that she adds on someone who means so much to me, I was kind of like, whoa, okay. That's a strong statement. I mean, I think that the fact that she's still thinking about it, and that's the first thing that comes to mind in this episode. You know, she's not thinking about even the wedding at this point. She's not thinking about the governor is secondary. She's still thinking about that big thing that happened to Nathan. So, very interesting.
I agree. Yeah. And going back to the wedding, Elizabeth and Rosemary are in town, and Florence comes running up with exciting news that the dress has arrived at the Mercantile. And she does not seem enthusiastic at all.
Rosemary's excited. Elizabeth is not. Very clearly not. Yeah.
Yes.
I was actually surprised by how unexcited she was.
Yep. She claims it's because of everything going on. Right. And Rosemary believes it's just the distraction that they need.
My question is this the distraction Elizabeth needs, or is this the distraction Rosemary needs? That's what I want to know. Yeah.
Probably Rosemary.
Yeah. Because Elizabeth, if anything, this wedding and everything, she's not excited by it. This isn't something that is giving her any joy. And meanwhile, it should be something that she's excited to do, but it's just another thing that she's stressed about. Whereas, Rosemary's all like, oh yeah, let's go plan a wedding, because that's Rosemary's middle name is wedding planning. So I think
Rosemary wedding planning culture.
Yeah, literally. So yeah, I think when Rosemary said that, I was just kind of like, distraction for Elizabeth or a distraction for you? I don't know. Yeah.
Oh
so I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah. And It really made me laugh when they were trying to hide the dress from Lawrence, Molly and Minnie, Faith and Mike, and then he says, "Are you looking for Lucas? He's right over there. Hey, Lucas!" And
Yes.
Lucas is just like, "Okay."
Yeah, that whole scene was funny.
Yeah.
Apparently, the dress box in that scene was not supposed to be as big as it was. So when they found out how big the dress box was, they had to rework the entire scene.
Oh
Because they
gosh.
didn't know it was going to be that comedic. And then it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty funny.
Yes. And speaking of the wrong wedding dress, Elizabeth thinks it's a bad omen. You might be right. Yeah. Or she is. Right.
I think it's just, I don't know. I think one bad thing keeps happening after another, and it just keeps adding to Elizabeth's doubt, or, like whatever she's feeling, it just keeps adding to it. And, it's only in this moment that Rosemary actually acknowledges that something is wrong. Because it almost looks like Elizabeth is looking for an excuse to get out of this wedding. First she's talking about the town. Then she's, offering up the arch that she and Lucas are, all kinds of things. And at this moment she's like, oh, maybe it's a bad omen. And for Rosemary, that's like basically Elizabeth is looking for almost a way out. As if she's trying to make this, like, it's just something feels wrong.
Yeah.
And this is the first time we see Rosemary actually acknowledge that fully. We've seen her question about it a little bit in the past, but never like fully acknowledge it and ask the hard question of, are you having doubts?
And she says just about the dress. Interesting.
In a very unconvincing way.
Yeah. And I find it interesting that in season 5, when the church burned, as well as Elizabeth's wedding dress, she didn't think that was a bad omen, but
yeah, literally the freaking church burned down and her dress along with it. She didn't think that was a bad omen. But here she's getting the wrong dress in the mail, and her seamstress friend is like, oh, I can fix it. And Elizabeth's like, oh, I think it must be a bad omen. I don't know. Big difference there.
Yep.
I think there might be more than the dress going on here. So.
Yes. Yeah. And speaking of the dress, once again, Elizabeth is at her house with Rosemary, trying on the dress. The wrong dress, I might add. And can I just say, yeesh.
Yeah.
Do not like at all.
Yeah. It was not, it wasn't the worst dress I've seen.
It wasn't the worst, no.
But it was pretty bad. I'd say the bows on the shoulders and the big tulle, I was like, yeah,
The bows on the shoulders didn't bother me as much as the tulle.
Yeah, you could tell they the costume designers purposefully made it ugly.
And not her.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. Although Nathan sees it differently when he catches her in the dress.
Okay. Oh my gosh. Okay, literally when he was at the door, I full on screamed. I was like, whoa. And then he's like, I was totally not expecting this scene at all. But then she's got the dress on. This is the first time Nathan has seen her really dressed up, if that makes any sense.
Yes.
And it was just like he's in awe of her. Like,
I think you
literally
look great.
He's like, I think you look great. And it's just of course Rosemary's just like, no, the dress is, but Nathan's just like in awe. And I thought it was interesting how, Rosemary's like trying to like push Nathan out, but Elizabeth's like, no, it's okay. And then she kind of like takes in his face and then kind of wants to know what he's thinking, and
yeah,
it was very interesting. Yeah,
that right there, that was, in my opinion, and I'm sure yours too, complete foreshadowing.
yeah. I mean, let's just say after the scene, I just don't know how there could be a Lucas and Elizabeth wedding. I just don't know how. I just can't see it. I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something, but
I don't think so.
I don't know. I don't know. Nathan was giving groom vibes here, and I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't want to be misinterpreting it, but this literally, I was just like, I can't picture a wedding after this. I just can't. At least
Mm-mm.
for Lucas and Elizabeth, I just
No.
can't picture it. Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Also,
Yeah.
I did think this scene was interesting in that maybe in like a metaphorical kind of way. You know, you have Elizabeth try on the dress. In order for it to work for the wedding, they keep talking about all these alterations that need to be made, you know, bold and dynamic and reserved and everything like that. And then Nathan sees her and is like, "Oh, I think you look great." It's almost as if in order to be with Lucas and to make this work, she would have to change a lot about herself and a lot about her lifestyle and a lot about what she wants in life. And same for him. Whereas Nathan sees her just for who she is, and you know, that's you
As
know, he sees her for who she is, and that's good enough, basically.
as Kevin says, they are seeing each other for the first time.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when Rosemary and Nathan leave, she walks up to the mirror and, she's looking at herself and she's playing with her ring again. And also, there's been some talk about Alice in Wonderland again this season. I'm sure that you probably have seen it
I've seen
going
some
around. Yeah.
references to it. Yeah.
And Through the Looking Glass. So if you remember I think it was episode 5, when Lucas and Elizabeth have the repeat Union City date in the saloon, and they first get there and we see that mirror of them through the looking glass, and they're kind of far away, but then this time in this scene she's closer to the mirror. So I think what I'm trying to say is she's kind of getting out of the funk, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And this season, it's happened a lot, but I'm
Yeah.
always watching for moments where she's fingering the ring, covering up the ring, anything with the ring. Because remember, in season 8, the ring was very significant. There were a lot of moments when she was contemplating the future. She would fiddle with the ring. There's one scene in Ned and Florence's wedding. Joseph's giving a sermon. She starts fingering the ring. Ultimately, after telling Nathan what she did in the jail, she finally takes off the ring.
Yeah.
But this season, she's been fingering the engagement ring quite a bit. So I don't know.
Interesting. Yeah.
Very interesting. And in this scene, she was fingering the ring.
Yeah.
Very interesting. So
yeah, we will see. But I think it's going to turn out well, and like we hope.
Yes, I think so too.
And why don't we just talk about Nathan and Elizabeth, because literally almost every scene with them in this episode was together.
Yeah. I mean, Elizabeth had a lot of scenes with Rosemary, with Lucas, with a lot of people. I mean, she's the main character.
Yeah.
But pretty much all of Nathan's scenes were with her, apart from the ones with Lee.
Yeah.
They were pretty much all with her, pretty much involved her very heavily. And I see a lot of them connecting in a much deeper way, and maybe they are starting to have feelings for each other that are beyond friendship. Maybe I don't think they realize it yet if they do.
No.
But I do think, based off of certain things in this episode, that Nathan is starting to figure that out. I think we see some looks. I think he's starting to figure that out.
Yes. And that first scene with them, when she literally runs into him outside the library, they are talking about his medal. She congratulates him, and then they go on talking about Lucas. He says, if anybody's going to pull it off, it's him. Looks like all those years of playing poker are finally going to pay off. And then she is saying good luck, and then she says to be safe. And his facial expression when she walked away.
Oh, yeah. He knows something's up.
Yeah.
And I think the point of that scene was, at least from my interpretation, she basically in that scene was sort of alerting him to the fact that him almost dying in the hostage situation did upset her. Because he doesn't know that. He only saw her look after he got back.
Yeah.
And we also saw some of that same, like, the wheels turning kind of look. But here she starts the conversation saying, like, oh, it didn't seem like nothing. Like, when he says, oh, it was nothing. And then he kind of reassures her, says it's not a big deal. And then she ends the conversation with basically, like, be safe. Like, she wants him to be safe. And
we haven't heard that in a while.
We haven't heard that in a while. I don't think it's the last time we're going to hear it.
No, Brian said that.
Yeah. And I think that it's very, like, it's telling to him that she actually worries and cares still. And I think that's why he came to her house afterwards, and why he saw her in her wedding dress, because he came back to tell her that everything went well, basically to reassure her. I think he wanted to make sure that she knew he was safe and all of them were safe. But I definitely think the wheels are starting to turn in his head. I think she might be not ready to face those feelings yet, but I think she's going to get there eventually. But he's starting to realize it, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. This is one of my favorite scenes in the episode, when she gives him advice on his speech, and he says that he's not much of a public speaker. Jack always said the same thing. And then, he says, any advice? And she says, look for a friendly face. Imagine you're just talking to that person.
And who does he look at? Elizabeth. Yes. It's funny because before this even happened, we knew Elizabeth was going to give Nathan some advice.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I knew she was going to say, just focus on one person. And I knew it was going to be her. So in my mind, I was like,
good.
Yep, this is happening. Yeah. So it's interesting because, if anyone listened to Lindsay Sturman's most recent interview, she mentions that the reason why Nathan looks at Elizabeth is because she is one of the most important people in the world to him. And same for her. So I think that they're just very much like, they're always there for each other. Their friendship has grown very strong this season. And I do think that it's the way she's looking at him during this speech. She's just, there's so much love there. And, she gives him the strength to finish. She gives him the strength to give the speech. And there's just these looks that you can't ignore the way they're looking at each other in this speech.
No.
There's just no way you can ignore that.
No.
Yeah.
And I read Lucas's speech, so it's only fair that I read Nathan's as well. Which, beautiful speech, and Kevin delivered it beautifully. For those who know me, they know that I tend to be frugal with my words. You know, it's an odd thing to get a medal for doing your job, but I'm grateful. This valley and the people that are in it are different. They're special. We lean on each other when times get tough. We rely on each other. We help each other out. I'm so blessed to call Hope Valley my home, and I want you to know that I consider it my greatest honor to serve and protect it. So thank you for allowing me to do that.
Oh, the way he thanks everyone for letting him serve and protect them.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just like, oh, I'm emotional right now.
Yes.
But I think the line that really stuck out to me was when he said, I'm so blessed to be part of Hope Valley. I was just like, wow, this is amazing. It was a really, I love how his speech, it's short. It's, it's very him because, he's not the most comfortable talking in front of people, but he's just so grateful and humble while he's giving this speech. And I loved that. I thought it was a great speech.
Me too. Yes. And speaking of Hope Valley being home, Lucas and Elizabeth's future.
Ooh. Oh.
We get that scene at the very end. It's the last scene in the episode when Lucas and Elizabeth are in town with Lee and Rosemary talking about Lucas being front page of the paper. Randall Rockwell of the Buxton Beagle shows up wanting a quote from Lucas about taking a public stand against Balfour. Rosemary says, "The Valley Voice has exclusive access, but we want to get the word out. Ask away."
It's like Lucas is probably like, when did you get the power to give permission whether I can talk or not? Oh my gosh. Good old Rosemary. You gotta love it. She's very competitive, so
yes. And Lucas starts talking to the reporters, and Elizabeth just kind of gets pushed off to the side.
Yeah.
Part of me thinks it was unintentional, but at the same time, I'm like, that had to be on purpose.
Well, here's the thing. It was accidental by Lucas accidentally bumping her to the side.
Yeah.
Scene-wise and cinematography-wise, definitely intentional because
that's what I was trying to say. Yeah.
Basically what it's showing is that Lucas has opened a new door.
Mm-hmm.
He is, being called to a grander stage, like and Agatha told Elizabeth back in episode 2. And Elizabeth is realizing that. And as part of that grander stage means that she may not be a part of that. Basically, she kind of fades to the background while Lucas goes to the forefront with this new grander stage, and she kind of fades to the background. And I'm not saying that Lucas would ever push Elizabeth to the background or forget about her somehow, but basically his calling is taking precedence over her at this point. It's more important for him to do this thing than it is for them to be together, if that makes any sense.
Yes, I know what you're saying. Yeah.
Yes. So
that's what I was trying
very,
to say.
very visual representation of what's happening in their relationship right now.
Yes. And that facial expression from Elizabeth.
Yep.
As it cuts out as the scene ends. Wow. She is definitely having second thoughts, I think.
Oh yeah. Either second thoughts or just realization that this is what would happen. Realization this is what would happen. A little bit not hurt exactly, but kind of feeling that place of, oh, I don't belong here. Kind of like this is his thing, this is going to take him away from me, basically.
Yes. Like, I love Lucas, but this is his calling and this is what he needs to do.
Yes.
And I need to step away.
Exactly. Yes.
And that is the end of the episode.
Yes. Really good episode.
Yes. That bombshell of a preview for this week.
Oh, yeah. I am very, very excited for this episode. Obviously,
Lucas
I'm trying
is
to
running.
trying to keep my expectations in check. But there are some very promising things that seem to be happening. Mm-hmm. Meaning, you have Lucas pursuing this opportunity a little more. It seems as though he'll be running for governor because everyone else who could stand up against Balfour is dropping out, and Lucas is the only candidate. So that big opportunity is opening up for Lucas. I think that's a really good thing for Lucas. We also have Elizabeth facing a dilemma where she may have to decide between going with Lucas and leaving Hope Valley, possibly forever, or maybe not being with Lucas but staying in Hope Valley. It's a big dilemma.
Yeah. And the thing is, we all know she's going to stay because if she left Hope Valley, the show would be over.
Yes. Yeah. Basically, the show would be over. She has faced the possibility of leaving before, but I don't think she's ever faced it in this grand of a way, meaning it has never been an option for her to leave, like to actually consider leaving. Like, unless it was in season 1 when she was considering taking a different teaching post. That was pretty much it. Other than that, she has never considered leaving. But at this point, she is weeks away from marrying Lucas. And marrying Lucas would mean that she would have to go with him to the capital city, because if he gets elected, there is no way that they would be able to stay in Hope Valley at all. So yeah, I think it's a very big dilemma. Yeah. And it seems as though there are going to be some interesting players involved in, helping her to make this decision. Yeah. Yeah. So it looks like she and Nathan are going to have a very serious conversation.
She's not leaving. The show would be over.
No. There's no way she's leaving. If she's leaving, I can't even fathom what that would be like. It'd be like season 2 all over again, where she's in Hamilton, and I don't know if I can do that. Yeah.
No, that's not going to happen. That's not happening.
No, it's definitely not happening. She's not leaving.
No.
Yeah.
And that clip from the preview, when Lee says he's the only one who can do this, Rosemary, what does that mean for Elizabeth? We just talked about this. We don't really need to go into detail again. But I wanted to bring it up because as we see the sign for Lucas, for governor, being hung, Elizabeth takes a deep breath and Nathan sees that.
Yes. Nathan is, as I've said, he's already picking up on some of the things, maybe some of the internal struggle that she's feeling. He sees the signs. He's reading the signs. And now it seems as though he is seeing some, hesitation on her part, some dread at having to leave on her part. She doesn't want to do this. She doesn't want to leave. And he knows that. And he can see that.
And I just find it interesting that nobody around her in that clip notices. Lucas doesn't notice.
Notice they're all looking up at the sign, and she's the only one looking down. And Nathan is not looking up at the sign. He's looking at her. If in that shot he's actually looking at her, because we never know with the editing of these things. But I'm pretty sure he's looking at her. So he sees something that nobody else sees, which is that she is struggling. So,
and he goes in the schoolhouse to talk to her. Just yesterday, you told me you never wanted to leave Hope Valley. Nathan, this is bigger than me. And then, it cuts to the decision that will change Hope Valley forever.
Yeah. I think that it's, it's a big deal. Part of the reason why Nathan goes to her to confront her about this is because she told him, messenger of truth, but because she told him the day before that she never wants to leave Hope Valley.
Yes.
For her to suddenly be completely okay with moving to the capital city is not her. That is so against everything that she told Nathan that she has ever stood for.
Yeah.
So he knows it. He knows she's doing this not completely because she wants to. She doesn't want to. And he knows that, and that's why he's talking to her.
Yep, I think he will help her see the light.
Yes.
And at last I see the light.
Yep. Yeah.
Couldn't resist.
And then we have that scene with Elizabeth and Rosemary.
Yep.
And Erin actually did talk about this in her interview with Entertainment Tonight. She said that one of her favorite scenes with Rosemary is a scene where Elizabeth is kind of going through it, and it's at night at a table, and they're both sitting there together. And I'm like, that's the scene. There it is. So we will be seeing that scene too.
Yep. People just kept asking me what I want. What do you want? She's fingering the ring again.
Yep. Fingering the ring for sure. Yeah.
And I found it kind of interesting how Elizabeth's look in this scene, like her hair is the same as it was in the season 8 finale when she took off her ring from Jack.
Yeah, that's very true. That is definitely very true.
Things are about to go down.
They are. I'm here for it. Yeah.
I'm thinking it's going to be what we think.
I think so too.
Based on everything. Yeah.
Basically, the only two ways I could see this playing out at this point are that Elizabeth breaks up with Lucas, because I'm pretty sure we're pretty sure that's going to happen. I think she's going to break up with Lucas. He's going to pursue this opportunity, and she chooses instead to focus on her calling as a teacher and as a single mom. And that kind of gives a segue into season 11, where possibly she could explore new opportunities, but next season. Yeah. Or there's the other option where she breaks up with Lucas, decides to stay in Hope Valley, and the Jack / Nathan almost dying storyline comes full circle, and she realizes that the only reason she wasn't with Nathan is because she's been afraid that he could die. And for me, that would end perfectly if, we've already seen her in the library twice over the last 2 episodes.
Yeah.
It would end perfectly if she went in the library a third time. She saw the plaque that said, always do what you were afraid to do. And then she had a conversation with Henry.
Yeah, which she does.
And they had a conversation that kind of completed that first conversation they had in the livery together about what Elizabeth was really feeling.
Yeah. I'd be okay with either option.
Yeah.
At this point.
Yeah. I'd be okay with either. I think for the purposes of Nathan and Elizabeth's story arc, I think it would be better for them to at least have some kind of promise of them being together in the end. I could see them, her ending up single, them kind of connecting over the fact that he's, resolved to be single too, but then kind of a little hint of something possibly going to happen in season 11. So, I don't know.
Based on what we're seeing, I feel like we will at least get a hint of them together.
I think so too. Also, we know that they are going to have a scene together at the spot where he told her he loved her. And she told him that she couldn't do it because she was afraid he would die. And I do think there's going to be some kind of full circle moment in that scene.
And their facial expressions are completely different than season 8.
Oh yeah. Completely different. So yeah, I think something is happening there. I think there's some kind of full circle moment.
Yeah.
And them picking that specific spot, I think is important. I don't think they would just pick that to have them have a friendship chat or something.
I don't think so either. I don't think that they would just do a repeat of season 8.
Why would they do that? I don't know.
No.
It makes sense. So yeah, I don't see that. I think there's some significance to it.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of significance to a lot of other things this season. Yeah. So I do think there's significance there. But we will have to wait and see. Only one more week until we know for sure.
Yes. And even if she did end up single by the end of the season, I think that there's still a good chance that come season 11, her and Nathan could.
I think so too. Because she may need some time.
Something. Yeah.
Yeah, she may need some time on her own after, going through it this season, because she kind of has.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I would like some kind of hint of what's to come. I would like a little bit of certainty just so that fans aren't left.
I understand
uncertain.
that. Yeah. That would be my preference, but I'm not opposed to her either being single and starting something with Nathan in season 11, or being single and then the hint of Nathan and Elizabeth before season 11, and then it grows next season.
Yeah.
Either way.
I agree with that. Yes.
At this point, I'll just be happy with either scenario.
Yes. Either scenario is a win-win for me. So
yeah. Just the icing on the cake.
Yes.
So to speak.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I do firmly believe that that's what'll happen.
Yeah. I think for episode 10, I will rate it a 10 out of 10.
Yep. This is the first 10 out of 10 I've given this season. I think it's definitely a 10 out of 10.
Yep.
I'd say the last, there were some really good scenes in the first act, but I would say the second act of this episode was phenomenal. So
yes, agreed.
Definite 10 out of 10.
Yeah. All right, Hearties. Well, I think that wraps up our review of When Calls the Heart, season 10, episode 10. If you enjoyed this episode, you can like this video and share any thoughts or predictions for the remaining 2 episodes of the season in the comments. If you want to stay up to date on our reviews for episodes 11 and 12 and any of my movie reviews, you can subscribe to this channel. Thank you so much for listening. We hope you have a great day or night wherever you are in the world, and we will see you next week for the penultimate episode of When Calls the Heart Season 10. We love y'all. Bye!
Bye!